Step into the timeless wisdom of Confucius, where ancient truths still guide us today. Let his profound words inspire your journey towards self-improvement and harmony. Discover the power of knowledge, virtue, and balance in every quote. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. I hear, and I forget. I see, and I remember. I do, and I understand. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. By three methods we may learn wisdom. First, by reflection, which is noblest. Second, by imitation, which is easiest. And third, by experience, which is the bitterest. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. Better a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without. The object of the superior man is truth. He who learns but does not think is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger. Never give a sword to a man who can't dance. What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others. The cautious seldom err. I hear, I know, I see, I remember, I do, I understand. The strength of a nation derives from the integrity of the home. An oppressive government is more to be feared than a tiger. Study the past, if you would divine the future. Without feelings of respect, what is there to distinguish men from beasts? Learning without thought is labor lost. Thought without learning is perilous. They must often change. Who would be constant in happiness or wisdom? The superior man understands what is right. The inferior man understands what will sell. If I am walking with two other men, each of them will serve as my teacher. I will pick out the good points of the one and imitate them, and the bad points of the other and correct them in myself. A gentleman would be ashamed should his deeds not match his words. A superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. Never contract friendship with a man that is not better than thyself. If you look into your own heart and you find nothing wrong there, what is there to worry about? What is there to fear? The expectations of life depend upon diligence. The mechanic that would perfect his work must first sharpen his tools. The superior man thinks always of virtue. The common man thinks of comfort. Wisdom, compassion, and courage are the three universally recognized moral qualities of men. Death and life have their determined appointments. Riches and honors depend upon heaven. The superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. To see and listen to the wicked is already the beginning of wickedness. He who speaks without modesty will find it difficult to make his words good. Ability will never catch up with the demand for it. The superior man acts before he speaks, and afterwards speaks according to his action. In a country well governed, poverty is something to be ashamed of. In a country badly governed, wealth is something to be ashamed of. To practice 5 things under all circumstances constitutes perfect virtue. These 5 are gravity, generosity of soul, sincerity, earnestness, and kindness. To see the right and not to do it is cowardice. To see what is right and not to do it is want of courage or of principle. If we don't know life, how can we know death? You cannot open a book without learning something. To be wronged is nothing unless you continue to remember it. I want you to be everything that's you, deep at the center of your being. Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. It is more shameful to distrust our friends than to be deceived by them. The more man meditates upon good thoughts, the better will be his world and the world at large. We should feel sorrow, but not sink under its oppression. If you think in terms of a year, plant a seed. If in terms of 10 years, plant trees. If in terms of 100 years, teach the people. Heaven means to be one with God. Old age, believe me, is a good and pleasant thing. It is true you are gently shouldered off the stage, but then you are given such a comfortable front stall as spectator. Silence is a true friend who never betrays. Humility is the solid foundation of all virtues. When it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, Don't adjust the goals. Adjust the action steps. When anger rises, think of the consequences. Success depends upon previous preparation, and without such preparation, there is sure to be failure. The will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach your full potential. These are the keys that will unlock the door to personal excellence. To know what you know and what you do not know, that is true knowledge. Wherever you go, go with all your heart. Everything has beauty, but not everyone sees it. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Faced with what is right, to leave it undone shows a lack of courage. To go beyond is as wrong as to fall short. The superior man is distressed by the limitations of his ability. He is not distressed by the fact that men do not recognize the ability that he has. I will not be concerned at other men's not knowing me. I will be concerned at my own want of ability. A youth when at home should be filial and abroad, respectful to his elders. He should be earnest and truthful. He should overflow in love to all and cultivate the friendship of the good. When he has time and opportunity, after the performance of these things, he should employ them in polite studies. Virtuous people often revenge themselves for the constraints to which they submit by the boredom which they inspire. How to play music may be known. At the commencement of the piece, all the parts should sound together. As it proceeds, they should be in harmony while severally distinct and flowing without break, and thus on to the conclusion. Look at the means which a man employs, consider his motives, observe his pleasures. A man simply cannot conceal himself. I am not one who was born in the possession of knowledge. I am one who is fond of antiquity and earnest in seeking it there. The superior man does not, even for the space of a single meal, act contrary to virtue. In moments of haste, he cleaves to it. In seasons of danger, he cleaves to it. He who acts with a constant view to his own advantage will be much murmured against. To rule a country of 1,000 chariots, there must be reverent attention to business and sincerity, economy in expenditure, and love for men, and the employment of the people at the proper seasons. The book salesman should be honored because he brings to our attention, as a rule, the very books we need most and neglect most. If some years were added to my life, I would give 50 to the study of the Yi, and then I might come to be without great faults. Speak the truth. Do not yield to anger. Give if thou art asked for little. By these 3 steps thou wilt go near the gods. Look not at what is contrary to propriety. Listen not to what is contrary to propriety. Speak not what is contrary to propriety. Make no movement which is contrary to propriety. To those whose talents are above mediocrity, the highest subjects may be announced. To those who are below mediocrity, the highest subjects may not be announced. When we see persons of worth, we should think of equaling them. When we see persons of a contrary character, we should turn inwards and examine ourselves. The superior man makes the difficulty to be overcome his first interest. Success only comes later. Instead of being concerned that you have no office, be concerned to think how you may fit yourself for office. Instead of being concerned that you are not known, seek to be worthy of being known. The firm, the enduring, the simple, and the modest are near to virtue. He who exercises government by means of his virtue may be compared to the North Polar Star, which keeps its place, and all the stars turn towards it. The faults of a superior person are like the sun and moon. They have their faults, and everyone sees them. They change, and everyone looks up to them. Go before the people with your example, and be laborious in their affairs. When you know a thing, to hold that you know it, and when you do not know a thing, to allow that you do not know it. This is knowledge. There are 3 methods to gaining wisdom. The first is reflection, which is the highest. The second is limitation, which is the easiest. The third is experience, which is the bitterest. When you are laboring for others, let it be with the same zeal as if it were for yourself. Virtue is not left to stand alone. He who practices it will have neighbors. Thank you for watching.